The announcement of Battle for Azeroth has created a few major problems. Sylvanas is apparently evil, Jane is apparently still an arsehole, Greymane is still hungry for revenge. Abilities have been added to the GCD or global cooldown that people are absolutely losing their shit over, but there are some good things to be looking forward to. Hello ladies and gentlemen, I'm your hostess Aubrey, and welcome to yet another segment of Everneth News, your source for news in the gaming industry. Specifically this week, keeping with the theme of the past 2 weeks, World of Warcraft, and how you can prepare for Battle for Azeroth. With the expansion just a couple of weeks away now, launching on the week of August 14th, there's a lot to be excited and a lot to be worried about when it comes to the launch. If you've been watching the developer Q&As, Ian Hazakostas has made mention that, obviously, they screwed up, and people are not too happy with the pre-patch, as I alluded to at the start. Still, more content, that precious lifeblood of the game, has been released this week with the burning of Teldrassil, the Kalimdor World Tree, which will, the event title being a dead giveaway, be getting used for the annual Horde barbecue. Whether or not the Horde is directly responsible for the happenings of the Wicker Man... Teldrassil remains to be seen, but at least we're going to have some content to keep us going. Speaking of content, there are quite a few things you may still wish to get done before Battle for Azeroth drops, namely the Violet Spellwing. The mount that you get for killing Argus on heroic difficulty is still going to be kicking around until the launch this August. If you don't have a raiding guild and really want to get your hands on that mana bird, fear not, because Perky Pugs runs a special group for getting a Spellwing of your own. Perky Pugs chooses players via raffle, and I will drop a link to those awesome people's website in the description below. Things you might want to get done before Battle for Azeroth for the sake of convenience includes the artifact fishing pole, which was confirmed by Ian Hazakostas to be staying post-Legion. The fishing pole isn't the hard part, however. It would be the achievement Fisher Friend of the Isles. Fisher Friend of the Isles requires you to get exalted with each of the 6 Fisher Friends, and the reward is a color-changing gem for your fishing pole. Only one of the Fisher Friends of the Isle will be active per day, with the exception to the rule being Conjure Margos, that fella off Dalaran who gives you your fish mount. Each zone has its own Fisher Friend, and being in a group will let you get a group-wide buff. Occasionally, whenever you're fishing, you can collect an item that you can throw back in, kill a mob, and it gives everyone a group-wide buff to farm up that Fisher Friend's reputation item. The more people are in your group, the more people can fish up that item that you can then throw back in, and overall it makes it a bit easier. While it will still be doable in PFA, it will be much more annoying to try and find one of those groups, so get out there, meet some anglers, and get your color-changing gem. The Fiendish Hellfire Core and Shackled Urzal, which dropped from Mythic Gul'dan and Argus the Unmaker, respectively, are following the traditional boss mount method of being a 100% drop rate until the following expansion, where they will then drop to around a 1% drop rate. Mythic Nighthold shouldn't be too much trouble for people now, and if you like that weird, creepy, multi-face dog thing from Argus, it might be a good time to try getting a group together for that as well. Talon's Vengeance, a rather mysterious faction, will be much harder to fiddle with post-Battle for Azeroth's launch. In order to access this faction, you must complete one of the Battle Pet Falcasar quest lines, which if you haven't already, you may very well be working towards Exalted with Talon's Vengeance post-launch. In order to get the Battle Pet Falcasars, you have to go to a Falcasar world quest and kill a matriarch, which has a chance to spawn a orphaned Falcasar of that little group. There are 4 different groups, and each one has its own orphaned Falcasar. Get it to 25, and then you can do a quest a day to eventually get it to lead you back home, where you can find a mount, which in turn gives you access to the faction. Now, Talon's Vengeance at first gives you a weak PvP item that lets you champion the Wild Goddess Aviana's Vengeance and Falcasar and PvP World Quest areas in Legion. Defeating other players will give you rep, which you can then use at Honored Reputation to obtain the Ivory Feather, which can be used in Battlegrounds. Kills in Battlegrounds with the Ivory Feather will grant you Marks of Prey, which in turn will let you buy a white Falcasar ground mount at Exalted, which is not a bad reward at all. Legion dungeon and raid content may be a bit harder to do with everyone focusing on leveling and dungeons in PFA, so this one is kind of a no-brainer. Grab some random people or maybe some friends and go get those pets, mounts, and other items of interest. Artifact appearances aside, of course, from the Mage Tower can all be obtained, including the 3 tints after you get a Mage Tower appearance. This is an idea that has been heavily changed since the original statement of you will not be able to get any appearances post-Legion. So if you like some of the appearances, go grab them. Legion raids for Balance of Power, like Emerald Nightmare, Trial of Valor, and Nighthold respectively, will be easier in the coming months, and it should prove to be a less imposing challenge than it was. Finally, getting the Reins of the Long-Forgotten Hippogriff from Asuna, which requires you to find and click on 5 randomly spawning crystals, all while unknowingly racing other people for that week to get your 5 first. making sure not to die, or otherwise you'll lose any progress on set crystals, by the way, will be a lot harder with the introduction of cross-realm zones. Still, if you're determined to get that adorably pink hippogriff, it shouldn't be too difficult. However, I would caution you to do it now before the cross-realm zones take over. There are other things like farming Doomsayers in the opposing faction's main city, i.e. Stormwind and Orgrimmar for the Doomsayer's Robe's toy, but what you should also make sure you snag up is some leveling aids, like stat flasks, potions for long power, stat food, Synthenia of Bear Tartar, and so on. I would also encourage you to do some leveling, get some legendaries because they will work up until 116, and just do some of the pre-expansion content to kind of get familiarized with what's going to be happening. It's a big old war, and of course, while the pre-patch has proven to be a bit of a blunder, Battle for Azeroth should still be entertaining? Maybe? Loktar Ogar for the Horde, and of course for the Alliance. I have been Aubrey with Everdeath News, and I hope to see you on the battlefield.